right, so I'm sure you've seen a million videos on YouTube from people talking about indicators and what they're using and how they're buying and how they're selling and all of that fun stuff. But today I want to talk about what I'm not doing, what I'm changing about my day trading, making some big changes that is also paying big in the rewards of profit. So gonna talk about what I've been changing, what I've been removing from the charts, what I am not focused on any longer, and how I'm rethinking my trading process because of a few things that I've learned over the last couple of months. And I'm going to talk about it here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned, showing you guys some real trades and overall what I'm focused on right now with my trading. Alright, what's going on, guys? Patrick here, and today I want to talk about some of the things that I've been changing with my day trading over the last few weeks or the last few months, what I've noticed and how I'm adjusting. What am I doing? What am I changing after learning about these things? Now, first off, one thing that I've learned over time, the more and more that I trade futures, is that momentum, the overall trend, all of that, it's your friend. Now, in the past, one of the big mistakes that I made, and I'm sure a lot of you have made the same exact mistake, the biggest mistake that I've made with my day trading, especially with futures, is I'm always, well, not always, but the biggest thing is I've spent a lot of time trying to find the top, trying to pick the top, trying to trade and try to be like, okay, this is the top. This is where it's finally going to end. This is where it's going to turn down. Or I would be like, okay, this is where it's going to bounce. This is where it's going to bounce, and this is where, this is where I need to be buying at. And what happens is, I'll tell you exactly what happens when you trade with this mentality. Is first off, you end up getting stopped out much more because you're just basically throwing darts at a board, and you're like, okay, this is going to be the top, this is going to be the bottom, this is where I'm going to buy, this is where I'm going to sell. And sometimes it works out where you can end up doing that. But long term, over and over and over, it's not repetitive. You're going to have overall irregularities in the stock market where someday the market is just going to trend, and just keep going and going and going to a point where every time you try to pick the top, you're going to get blown up. 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 And before you know it, you're going to have that one winner. You're going to finally pick the top, but you're going to end up getting out maybe early and taking a little bit of profit, or you're going to get out late and take just enough profit to overall, cover your losses from earlier in the day, which, from a trading perspective, it works. But the more and more that I do this, the more I figured out that it's just much easier. It's much less stressful. It's emotionally a lot less draining when you're not trying to pick the top constantly. Trying to pick the top literally is the thing that just frustrates me the most, because even though I'm like, oh my gosh, this has to pull back. It's going to pull back. I get in for a short at like the 60s and it squeezes to 65. I get stopped out, and then guess what? It goes from 65 back down to 50. So that's the big problem with trying to pick the top, is you can do it sometimes, but the more and more that you try to do it, the harder it gets. Too much stress. So I'm going to show you some ideas here on the chart, some overall, okay, I would short here and do that. I'll show you right here in a second. All right, so we're looking at a trade right here. This is basically a pretty basic trade. You got the overall trend making these higher lows, try to get this push through this resistance here. So I bought a little bit of a pullback, didn't really, wait around for a huge pullback, but waited for a little bit of a pullback here and looking for this to push above this resistance here at the 86.50 area. It's at the 86.50 right there, looking for a push a little bit higher up there to the 87s on this move. But you can see in the past, what would I have done in the past? I feel like in the past, if I was like, okay, this is the top, that's having resistance there, I'm gonna jump in for a short, and that's what I would have done in the past, where I would have tried to pick the top. I would have tried to pick where this was going to turn down, and instead of locking in profit here on this move higher, I would get stopped out because I would try to short it here instead of trying to get long. You can see, okay, watch, it's like right there. You think, okay, this might be like the top. You get these little lower highs on these 5-minute candles, lower highs, but still overall the trend is pointing higher, right? The trend just sloping higher and is telling me that there's a good chance that this wants to push up here. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking to lock in a little bit of profit here. We got 10 contracts. It's Monday, so it's actually Memorial Day, and it's raining here in Florida today. So I don't really have much planned out, but I don't really know if the market's going to make a massive move here today, as probably not many traders are going to be trading today. So the volume's going to be pretty low overall, which is pretty telling that don't expect anything too crazy. So I'm just kind of slowly taking profit here into this move of trying to lock down. I'll take a $50 bill here on Memorial Day. $50, make you holler on a Memorial Day move here. But overall, this is very clear, right? It's very clear what the trend is. This is not rocket science. What we got? We got lower highs, and this thing trying to push up here. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to be like, okay, this is the top, bang, 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 I want to get short here and look for the breakdown. I'm just going to trade exactly what I see on the chart instead of being like, okay, well, I've got my 8-ball and I'm ready to party and I'm going to short. I'm going to short here at the top. That would have been my overall thought process in the past. But the more and more that I trade, look at this move earlier in the day. From 4 a.m., we went from the 61s all the way up here to 80. And guess what? If I would have tried to pick the top, if I would have been like, okay, I'm going to short here at the 70s, bam, got blown up and gotten out for a major loss. So that's one thing. I'm just no longer trying to be, a psychic. I'm not trying to predict the way the market's going to move. I'm just going to trade exactly the way the market is moving. So if the market is trending higher, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking profit along the way. I'm trading and trending higher. Obviously, you're going to have big, crazy moves, like this move here from the 70s up there to 80s. It did pull back, it definitely pulled back there, but overall, there was a lot of opportunity here, and you can see now I've got 4 contracts left up there to the 87s now, looking for 87.25 on this next fill. We'll see if we get it, but overall, all I'm doing is really just playing into the momentum here. I'm not trying to pick the top. I'm not trying to be a psychic. I'm trading the action that is in front of me, and that's exactly what you got to do to make money in the market. And that's one of my big issues in the past, is a lot of times I would end up being like, okay, cool, I'm gonna try to pick the top. I'm gonna try to predict the way the market's gonna move. I'm gonna try to pick the bottom here, and that just does not work out. It's not a profitable way to trade. It's not a conducive. It's not conducive. I guess there's a way to say it, right? Not conducive. It's not conducive, something like that. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about picking the top. I would have definitely shorted here, had my stop a little higher, and I would have gotten out for, $70 to $80 loss instead of locking in $70 to $80 here. So as you can see, look at it there above 87 now. So we pushed from the 84s up there to the 87s through that resistance. On this trade, where was my stop at? My stop was just overall down here at the 83 area. So I was really only risking, 2 handles on this move because we were tight there. We had that little bit of support. If we break down below there, I would expect, okay, maybe the trend's going to change and maybe we're going to roll off here. And you can see now locking in most of that profit there. Pretty nice overall move here. Look at it now up there to 87.75. Like I said, getting that breakout, and that's what we're looking for. In the past, again, what would I have done? I'd end up shorting there, and I end up getting out for a loss. So that's the big thing here. We're changing our thought process here, people. We're changing our thought process, our overall thought process, and instead of trying to pick the tops, we're looking at the overall trend. Lower highs. Okay, we're going to push. We're going to push through here. Until this overall chart pattern shows me that we're going to turn down, that this is finally the top. Like, let's say this is what I would look for. If we're making this higher low, we get stuck here. I want to see a pullback, and then I want to see a lower high. I want to see this pull back like down here to the 79s, and then maybe get back up here to this previous support, and then look for a short opportunity instead of me being like, okay, short here, and trying to pick the tops. That's just not what I'm doing. I guess I have to say I'm not looking to just pick the top. I'm looking to ride the momentum when the momentum is there. Very clear, lower high, and now pushing up there to 87.50. So there it is, locking down some profit here and showing you guys this trade. right? All right, so another thing, like I said, the trend is your friend. So no longer am I trying to pick the bottom or trying to pick the top. I'm trading the trend. If there's a clear trend, that's what I'm trading. Doesn't matter if I believe the market's gonna go lower. It doesn't matter if the market's gonna go higher. Whatever the trend is in that moment, if I'm looking at a big time frame and the big time frame is looking like the trend is heading higher or the trend is heading lower, that's what I'm trading. I'm no longer picking the bottom. So the trend is my friend. The trend is my friend. Also, something else that I'm removing from the chart is the EMAs. No longer am I using moving averages. Why, do you ask? You say, what is that? Patrick, you always talked about moving averages being this amazing thing to have on a chart. Well, no longer am I using moving averages. Now, why is that? What I have noticed from doing back testing, from going back and looking at areas where I normally would buy at or short based on the moving averages, looking at the moving averages and placing a trade, the more and more I went back, the more I back tested it, the more I looked at it, the more I figured out that really it's a terrible idea. So I always end up looking for a pullback to a moving average that at the end of the day can end up being a drop, can end up being a trend change, can end up being a fall. You know, when the stock market starts to pull back and crash, it touches the moving average. Okay, cool. But I end up missing out on so many opportunities along the way where we have a trending market where the market's going from, you know, the 900s to the 950s, and we're just trending higher and higher and higher. And all I'm doing is I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting for that moving average to get touched. And then finally the trend, you know, pulls back to the moving average, and guess what? I buy the dip, and well, guess what again? What happens? I bought the dip off the moving average, and then all of a sudden, bam, it crashes back down. Like I've said in other videos, the moving average should not be just an indicator that you use only for trade, you know, for your entries and things like that. You should be kind of using the moving average as a overall tool to identify the trend. But one thing that I really noticed with my trading is I end up not buying a lot of breakouts. I ended up not buying a lot of really overall good momentum plays because I was like, no, I can't buy because it's too far from the moving average. It's too far from the moving average. So the stuff, you know, the market would go up and go up and go up and go up, and I would miss out on a beautiful move. I'd miss out on a beautiful move, and then guess what? I would end up buying the pullback, like I said, to the moving average, and then the trend would change, and I'd end up getting out for a loss. So that's one of the reasons I'm removing the moving average, because I just don't care anymore. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, okay, I'm only gonna wait and buy for the moving average. I'm only gonna do this. I've removed it because now it removes that mental handicap, I guess. Maybe that thing where I have to only buy at the moving averages. So I'm missing out on some of these bigger moves because of the moving averages. So that's one thing as well. You know, in the past, I've been a really big proponent or a really big fan of moving averages, but now I'm like, hey, the moving averages aren't really working. I'm back testing, I'm going back here, I'm looking and I'm looking and looking, and every time I'm seeing these pullbacks, it doesn't give me a really good overall strategy to buy the pullback, you know, on the moving averages. Now, obviously, I still want to buy pullbacks, but I'm not gonna miss out on some opportunities when the market has momentum, when it's heading higher, when it's breaking through a key area. When the market starts to break through a key area, then I'm like, hey, this is time to rock and roll, because the momentum is there. When the momentum is there, I don't really care how overextended futures are, because it's one thing, you know, with trading stocks, but when it comes to the overall market, when you're trading futures, the market can stay overextended for hours, for days. I mean, it's just like, some days you get an overall move where the market is like bang, 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 and it never pulls back. It's just constantly going higher and higher and higher. So if I was to short it because we're far away from the moving averages, you know, if I'm like, oh, I want to short here because we're so far away from the moving averages, if I was to do that, all I end up doing is end up taking loss after loss after loss when the market is trending a certain direction. So we're moving the moving average and we're focusing clearly on trend. If the momentum is telling me that, hey, Patrick, this is going to the moon, you know, the momentum is here. If that is going on, I don't care about the moving average. I don't care if we're overextended, because I'm looking for opportunities to play into that momentum. When the market is moving higher, I don't want to miss out on a move because I'm like, well, it's just too far. It's just too overextended. It's just, you know, I'm going to miss out. Because I looked at it like, okay, I'm shorting these these pops because I think it's overextended, and I'm getting out for $100, $200 loss. And I'm like, well, what if I just buy the breakout? What if I start buying where I think that the market is overextended, where I think that the market's going to pull back? What if I just started buying those breakouts instead, and and taking 6 handles, 10 handles profit? Guess what? I just made a big breakthrough, because in the past, some of my losses really were coming from trying to pick those tops, and a lot of that came from me basing my trades off the moving averages. So that's one thing that I'm really focused on now, is no longer sitting there going, well, the market's overextended, it can't go higher. It can go higher. Everything can always go higher. Everything can always go lower. I'm looking for overall key areas in the chart. I'm looking for chart patterns, and I'm looking for overall candlestick patterns, things like that. I'm looking at big time frames. But at the end of the day, if the market wants to go higher, I'm going to ride that momentum, and that's clearly what I've been doing lately. That's what I've really been focused on. Let's jump on the chart again and take a look at some of the kind of overall setups that would apply for that. All right, so I want to show you guys really quickly what this would have looked like if we'll add some EMAs on here, just to show you like how this overall move would have just been really. Let's say we put like a 20 EMA on here, and you can see overall this move, right? So we got this break through these 70s here, got the break through the 70s, and we went from 70 here all the way up there to 83. Bang, 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 just green, green, green. Look at the volume down there coming up there and everything. Lots of volume there, big move. Look how far we were away from the EMAs there. You can see we kind of curled up there. Really, the entry on this would have been, probably down here in the support area at the 60, seeing that 60 area getting bounced multiple times. But in general, if I'm looking for a breakout here over the 70s, we get the breakout, and look at that big old move. So if I would have been like, well, I'm going to wait for a pullback here, I'm not going to buy until we get a pullback, guess what? It's green, 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 all the way up here to the 83. So I just missed out on a 13 handle move. Because why? Because I'm waiting for a pullback? Because I'm waiting for a pullback to the EMAs? Just not a good idea. Again, you can see multiple times where the market gets fully overextended. Like from here, we get away from the EMAs. In the past at the 57 area here, let's look at this. This is a good example. All right, we get this breakout, right? We're up here in the 57s, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for a pullback to the EMAs. I want to see a pullback down here. Well, guess what? We get stuck at 57 support, and we rally all the way up here to 68. So that would have been another move that I missed out on. Yes, we did get a pullback. Now, this is another good example. Okay, we get a push up here to the 68s. We pull back to the 63s. We push up here to the 69s. And guess what? We get a pullback to the EMAs. And just like I said in the video just a couple minutes ago, it pulls back here. I buy the dip, and guess what? I get out for a loss because now it breaks below the EMAs. So this is what I'm talking about. The EMAs are this, magical indicator, but at the end of the day, we really just need to be focused more so on momentum and overall action than trying to, okay, I'm only gonna buy when we touch the EMAs. Same thing here. We get that push up there to the 84s. It pulls back, and you can see kind of breaking below the EMAs. So really, I probably would have got stopped out there, because I would have probably bought here in the 80s, and then we broke below, and I've been like, oh, we're going to break below there, and we went lower. So that's one of the reasons I'm taking away the EMAs, taking away all the lines in the chart, and I'm trading purely off price action and an overall just where are we going? What's going on there? Are we making lower highs? Are we making lower lows? What's going on? Are we making higher lows, lower highs? What is the real action? What is going on? What is it telling me? And what is the overall trend? All right, so to sum this all up, it's very simple. We're trading the trend. We're not trying to pick the top. We're not trying to pick the bottom. We're trading what we have in front of us. There's no bias. We don't care if we're long or if we're short. We're trading the action that is in front of us. We're taking profit along the way, and that's exactly what I'm focused on right now. I'm taking away all the lines, taking away all the indicators, and I'm focused solely on one simple premise. What is the market telling me? Does the market show strength? Does the market show weakness? Are we pointing up or are we pointing down? And that's what it comes down to, my friends. So if you guys haven't already, do me one big favor, hit that subscribe button, the like button, all the buttons down below. Leave a comment. What do you guys think about removing the EMA? Talk to you guys later.